We have some good information for you today, and we will turn the time now over to Clay.
All right, welcome everyone who's in attendance to the Utah Assistive Technology Program. My name is Clay Christensen, and I am the Assistive Technology Lab Coordinator. And as you can see from the first slide, this is our motto, and we're pretty proud of it. No matter how we travel, we are all on the same journey. And our goal is to help people that use technology to be more independent in education, employment, and community settings. We are located at the Center for Persons with Disabilities, or the CPD, on the University State campus. The purpose of the UATP. The UATP is a statewide program serving individuals with disabilities of all ages in Utah, as well as those that work with them. Our job is to provide AT devices and services and train university students, parents, children with disabilities, and professional service providers about AT. What is assistive technology? And we have a list up there that you guys can see. I don't think it's necessary that I read through all of them, but assistive technology is very vast, and it's huge, and even has a coordinator. At times it can be even overwhelming for me trying to manage it all and find the right fit for the person that we are working with. And the devices that we use, they are high and low tech. As you can see, low tech, which would be something like a sensory board, hearing aids, and then high tech being, iPads and other adaptive computer equipment and some software apps. And we have a great computer lab with a lot of great software that I'll talk about a little bit later on. Who benefits from assistive technology? Vision, low vision, blindness, hearing loss, and or deafness, cognitive and developmental disabilities, and mobility loss, speech, communication disabilities. We work, those 5 bullets are the primary area of our focus. I would say a lot of times in our case, mobility loss being one of the larger ones that we work with at the Assistive Technology Lab. And second in order probably being cognitive and developmental disabilities. And then speech, third, fourth hearing, and then vision. But we work with all of these and have a lot of great services and items available to assist in these specific areas. Elements of the Utah Assistive Technology Program include the Assistive Technology Lab, which I coordinate that portion of our project, the Utah Assistive Technology Foundation, which Lois Summers coordinates, and then Create, device and reutilization. Create's a great program, and I'm glad that Tom took the time to come up here. You'll be hearing from him soon to talk about that program, or the reutilization part of that program and how that works. And then the UATP training and technical assistance is another aspect of what we do here at the Utah Assistive Technology Program. And training is very, very important to us. The mission of the Assistive Technology Lab is to help individuals with disabilities to become more independent and have a higher quality of life through assistive technology, because we believe they have the right. And you know what? That is really, really true. We really try hard to work with all people from across the lifespan, 0 to 99. And our goal is to have them, first and foremost, to help regain dignity that may be lost, or to have dignity, to get the support they need, and to help connect people in communities. And if there's a service we can't provide, oftentimes we know resources who can. We have a lot of great colleagues out there from all of our independent living centers and different other services throughout the state that we work pretty close with, and we can oftentimes recommend the right setting and right place for the people if we cannot provide the service that they need. And then we, as part of that mission, we want to help people gain control and make decisions about their own lives, and to be able to become strong members of the community. Goals of the AT Lab. More often than not, AT is not affordable or available, and the goal of the lab is to provide low-cost solutions and evaluations. And let me kind of elaborate a little bit on evaluation and what that looks like. A lot of times people will come in, and I have an evaluation center in place with a chair that has become problematic and or having troubles, maybe broken part of it or not working right anymore. And so I will bring them into our center where we will conduct a complete evaluation, take measurements, and then I will take that information and let me backtrack a little bit. That part of that evaluation includes an interview with the caregiver, mostly the moms, it seems like. Sometimes we have dads come in as well. And I will take information down such as their insurance and what insurance they may have. And then I, from that, can connect them with vendors in the community. And if they qualify for a new device, we will first begin working towards that step, if it's a mobility device and or a communication augmentative device. And then after that is done, and if they qualify, we'll start that process. Then in the meantime, we will start making repairs and adaptations as needed. There is no one size fits all. I mean, it is truly amazing to me, some of the things that we do and some of the things that we pull off. And you know, I could share a lot of stories in that regard, especially this last week. We've had a lot of fun adapting some strollers and such. And part of the goal is to, and you guys have read this, so I don't need to go, I'll just kind of brief it over, but we are to train professionals and then increase disability awareness. Services at the AT Lab. We have a state-of-the-art computer lab and a state-of-the-art fabrication shop, and we're pretty proud of that. It's small and humble, but we feel like we can accomplish a lot of great things out of our laboratory. And I want to emphasize to all those out there that this laboratory that I coordinate, it is for the community to use. People, and it's, I think some of the greatest AT that's been developed is when dad and mom come in, and together with any advice I can or can offer, and a lot of times I've been taught from parents, and it comes down to mom and dad know best. And that's really an emphasis I try to get. Mom and dad know what they need. So kind of backtracking to the evaluation, that's one thing that we that work in the AT Lab try to do is we try to listen really closely to what the moms and dads are telling us, because again, they do know best. And not to be redundant, but the AT Lab is available for people in the community to come and use. You can see In fact, maybe I can pick up right here. I think that's a picture of, if you look on the slide, there's a picture of me, and I'm actually working on a saddle that we adapted for a boy named Michael. And this was a project that actually had me a little nervous just simply because of the liability. It involved a lot of welding and adapting and fiberglass work, but at the end it was a great success, and it was neat to finally place him in it. This took place a couple of years ago, but this is an example of the AT Lab and what we do. I have recently learned, however, that Michael has outgrown the seat, and I need to change the seat back. And when we built it, we made it so that it could be removed and adjusted as needed. The Assistive Technology Lab locations. Okay, we are located on the Logan USU campus, and you can see my phone number up there and our hours of operation. And if you look on the bottom, this is new. The Uinta Basin campus. This is something that hits pretty close to home with me, and I'm going to take a second and just talk a little bit about our logic behind the Uinta Basin campus. I started early on as a coordinator, started getting a lot of calls out of people from various parts of the Uinta Basin needing services, and very quickly learned that that particular part of the state was underserved. And I thought, you know, our Assistive Technology Lab works so well, this initiative of the UATP, or Utah Assistive Technology Program, in conjunction with the reutilization program that Tom coordinates. We thought it necessary that we should try to expand our services throughout the state. And so I began by making some cold calls to the Uinta Basin. And over time and a lot of stress and heartache, we finally established an Assistive Technology Lab in the Uinta Basin. Now let me first clarify to any of those who may be listening, it's only operating as a satellite office right now. We are traveling there on a monthly basis. We just returned from there yesterday, where we conducted 3 evaluations, and it looks as though we will be getting 2 people into new chairs and getting their other ones repaired. And then we installed some assistive technology into a home. And the people were very grateful and are very excited for us coming to that area. And our ultimate goal is to eventually get another AT Lab in either the San Juan or Cedar City area. I know our brothers from another mother, so to speak, would like us to have something come up in Cedar City.
Clay, we've got a question. Someone would like to know what kinds of AT that you can repair and what kinds of devices you build.
All right. Let me try and we'll try and repair anything. Or our motto, or my motto is, we'll try anything once. I think the most common things that we repair are mobility, chairs, power chairs, power scooters, tilt and space, various all mobility we can repair. Walkers are a big thing we work on. Rollators and regular walkers. We can repair switches. For those of you who are familiar with switches and or adaptive toys that sometimes break down, and or we can adapt a new toy. For example, we recently had a mother who brought in a new CD player that we adapted a switch in. We have also taken various toys, and we can add switches. We can build stuff from the ground up if it's needed. I think you saw a switchboard earlier on. I think it's the first or second. I think it's the third slide. You can see a switchboard. We repair, I know I talked about the chairs, but we repair the tires. We can replace tires and cable work, and we can program chairs and replace, and if we can program seating and adjust speeds and soften settings, and on most chairs. Some of the newer stuff, some of the technology I haven't caught quite up with yet. Any more questions? We weld, and so if there's any fabrication repairs that need done, that is also a service that is provided. We work on different bicycles that have been adapted, or we can adapt bicycles as needed, but welding and fabrication is also a service. That probably seems a little bit all over the place, but I hope that answered your question. And you know what, let me add this too on that same note. We talked about iPads, the different programs available. If that is a question, come and see me. We have iPads with a lot of expensive apps such as Pro Lo Quo, and I can take the time and lend this iPad out that you can try and use these various apps and make sure that it's the correct fit for your child and or the person that you're providing care for. Which is a great service, because you don't necessarily, some of these things cost a lot of money, and before you go out and purchase it, you want to know that it's going to work. There are so many apps available, and I try to keep up with the ones that are the latest and the most effective. And on the repair side of it, I do not repair iPads, but I can help get one set up for you and get one in place and working. Any other questions? Here is some success stories. Tom, our coordinator from Create, he'll be talking soon. He's pretty excited. He's grinning from ear to ear right now, because before he transferred to Salt Lake to run our program, he worked with me in the lab for a summer. I think he was with us for about 3-4 months before we created his position. And this is his. This is his. He owns this one. He developed this wheel that attached to the front wheel of this stroller that could allow this Felipe to get momentum in his legs and get the exercise he needed. And you can see Amy Henningsen, our OT, who was working pretty close with us. But he was having troubles with his knees and locking up, and it became necessary that something is developed that will help keep his legs in motion. Now, this is an example of what we do. This is really the nuts and bolts of what we do. Right here, we take what already exists and adapt it as needed. So this right here is a great example, along with the saddle. And now Tom is up next.
All right, I am Tom Bowman. I'm the program coordinator of Create. Create is an acronym. It stands for Citizens Reutilizing Assistive Technology Equipment. There won't be a test on that, don't worry. Create, ultimately, Create is mobility. We focus on getting low-cost mobility devices to Utahns. That's our main focus. We refurbish them. We take in donated devices and get them out to the community. The little bullet point there says, enhancing independence and quality of life. That really, if I could share some of the some of the satisfaction that we get out of giving these folks some independence. It's really rewarding to be a part of this. You know, sometimes we see something as simple as changing a light bulb that impacts someone's life to the point where they can't leave the house. Most of us that have our mobility and can move around don't quite grasp what it is for folks to rely on a device, whether it be anything from a walker to crutches to power or manual wheelchairs or scooters. So it's pretty rewarding to kind of step in and help some of these folks out. Donations are received through Create, from a lot of different sources, families, individuals, a lot of different circumstances there. When I first started with Create, it was a little over 2 years ago. I was wondering if Create would somehow butt heads with some of the durable medical equipment vendors. It's been actually the opposite. We have some great relationships, and some of the donations we receive either are directly from vendors or a lot of referrals from the vendors as new devices are placed. Other agencies, care centers, hospitals also funnel and channel donations our way. We are located in Salt Lake. We'll talk a little bit more about where we are and schedules and whatnot in a little bit. But we can actually pick up devices, and also, if folks want to deliver devices to us, they're in the shop. That's great. In terms of what's available at Create, manual wheelchairs, power wheelchairs, scooters. What's not shown on the screen, we also are getting into doing walkers, both 2-wheel and 4-wheel walkers. Every once in a while we get some knee scooters in, crutches of different types. If it's mobility related, we will, we're involved with it. We do rely on donations, so the availability, I guess it's kind of like a yard sale. We have to, we have what we have. We do have actually quite a bit. We have almost 300 devices on hand. We just completed an inventory, so there's an awful lot that we have. It's a good challenge to have. This year, Create has transferred, and we'll talk a little about what we say that a transfer means as opposed to a sale, but 123 people here in the state have received devices from Create this calendar year. Currently, we have about 35 clients. which is plenty of work for us. We average a little over 12 devices a month that we get out to people. And we track the money savings that we're able to create for folks. No pun intended with Create there, but we're well over $350,000 that we've been able to save Utahns over a used retail cost for mobility devices. So it really does pay in many ways. And advance the screen there. The services we offer at Create, well, first of all, let me talk about, there's no qualification process to get services with Create. There's no insurance needed. In fact, we don't accept insurance, which is both good and bad, but for the most part, I think that's good. There's no letter of medical necessity required, no proof of disability. Someone's stated need, whether it's their own need or even for someone else, we can start to initiate services. One of the things, for those of you familiar with mobility devices, a lot of times different insurance programs, benefit programs will pay for a device every 5 years. Very rarely do we see that a device is functional, fully functional for that full period of time. So we're able to, with these used refurbished devices, step in and meet a lot of needs. One thing that Create does well also, a need that we meet is a backup chair. It's not uncommon to see, especially an electric wheelchair, one simple, I kid you not, very small connection can turn this, $25,000, $30,000 wheelchair into a boat anchor, if you will, completely useless for folks. So having a backup chair, we're definitely a good source for that. We also don't want to interfere. We don't want to get in the way of someone getting a new device. In fact, a lot of times, if we know someone will qualify for a new device, we try and get folks to go through, whatever insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, to get a device, because ultimately that's going to be better for these folks. So we provide completed refurbished devices. At present, a lot of times we get asked a lot whether we do repairs. And at present, no, we can't with our current workload. What we focus on is getting those donated devices, and we say we don't really own them. We take a donation in, we repair it, and we transfer it to someone else. We're the middleman, we do the work, and that's why we call them transfers. Even though we are required to charge a service fee for our labors, for our time, but at present we simply just do not have the manpower to do repairs. Although as part of the refurbishing process, obviously there are plenty of repairs done. I guess one thing I should mention, we do work with all types of mobility devices. We don't do any work with lifts. We very rarely get those donated in. We really don't have the space. If you were to come to the shop in Salt Lake, you would see we're packed to the gills with wheelchairs and scooters and other mobility devices. So we don't have any lifts on hands or ramps, in case someone's wondering. The transfer fees for manual devices, walkers, two-wheel, four-wheel, manual chairs range anywhere from $35 to $150. Anything electric is $250, whether it's a $1,200 scooter to a $35,000 complex rehab chair. The refurbishing on that is $250. Battery cost would be in addition to that. So with the refurbishing fee of $250 plus the battery cost, the range of prices is somewhere between $360 and $560. Now, funding, sometimes even those prices are cost prohibitive for folks. We've worked with a large variety of funding sources. Lois is going to talk about the UATF, the Utah Assistive Technology Foundation, in a little bit here. That is one of the sources, if folks qualify, can potentially apply to our devices. We've worked with different government agencies, charities, foundations, even churches, and families. A lot of times, sometimes even neighbors. We had about 9 months ago, I had a gentleman on Social Security disability come in and write us a check to buy a refurbished chair with new batteries in it for his neighbor. So we see a lot of different ways that these fees are covered. So even if these fees are cost prohibitive for folks, you shouldn't shy away from trying to meet these needs. Assessments are done. A lot of assessments can be done there on site or right next to us. There's a state agency called the Utah Center for Assistive Technology. They have some professionals over there that get involved with us as needed, with an occupational therapist on staff as well. So the assessments can be done, and if you walk in the shop, you'll see a lot of mobility equipment in there, most of which is not refurbished yet. We like to, not only because of the limited manpower that we have, but we just don't have the time and resource to just refurbish everything and then just wait for someone to come in and find what they're looking for. We typically, someone comes in, we do an assessment, we look at what's available, and basically we take measurements, do the full evaluation, and the client can then select, with assistance, what device to then be refurbished. We don't, we don't want to limit someone to something that's already refurbished. We a lot of times will custom assemble things to meet folks' needs. We do serve all of the state of Utah. We've got some examples where we've actually reached across borders where programs like CREATE don't exist in some of our neighboring states. So we've actually helped a few folks out of Utah as well. But we do serve, even though we are located in Salt Lake, we serve the whole state. We've done some creative things to get chairs to Cedar City, to St. George, up here to Logan, the Cache Valley area. So again, distance need not necessarily, eliminate someone from getting a device from CREATE. You see the address up on the screen there. Hours of operation are actually Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So just standard business hours, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. If there is a need, if someone works those hours, give us a call. We can make other arrangements if those hours are too limited for folks. So. As I mentioned before, it's pretty rewarding to be involved. This picture here, a few pictures of folks that have received devices from us. It's pretty neat to be a part of that. Next, we'll go ahead and show you a video of a guy that got a chair from us. We'll let the video tell the story here.
All right, now an update to a story you only saw right here on KSL. A 16-year-old Kearns boy who woke up to find his custom-made wheelchair gone is getting a little bit of help. News Specialist Ashley Kewish is in Kearns with more on what happened today.
This is the carport at Tyson Howick's home. Each night he would lock up his motorized wheelchair to this railing with a chain. Well, Friday morning he woke up, the chain was broken, the wheelchair gone. He's been looking for it ever since.
16-year-old Tyson Howick loves to dance, and in his old chair, dancing was easy.
I've been practicing in my room before the chair got stolen.
But for the past few days, dance practice has been on the living room couch.
On the 28th is the junior prom. I can't go there unless my chair can be found.
He's got the date, just not the wheels.
Had lights on it, helped me see in the dark. Had blinkers on it. It was worth a lot of money.
About $15,000 taken from the porch of his Kearns home.
I was crying, like really hard.
Tyson was born with a neurological disability, meaning without his chair, a dance is just one of the things he won't be a part of.
So this is basically how I go up and down.
Tyson doesn't know what's coming.
Well, it looks like I got a delivery.
How we doing, Tyson?
Looks like I got a new chair today.
Although the chair Tyson loves so much still hasn't been found, two nonprofit groups heard his story and pitched in to get him a new ride.
I got it. Oh. There we go. Oh boy. Mom. I'm just grateful. Mom. Thank you. Thank you.
Now plans for prom are back on, thanks to those in this community who care.
Oh, gosh! Mark! What you little freak!
And not only did Tyson get a brand new wheelchair, but Western Home Depot is actually donating a locked shed to the family so each night they can lock it up safely. In Kearns, I'm Ashley Kewish, KSL 5 News.
All right. So you're able to see part of what makes my job, one of the best jobs. What wasn't mentioned is that's an example of another foundation, Angel Hands Foundations, that actually funded that chair for that guy, and the UCAT, the Utah Center for Assistive Technology, actually helped us make contact with this guy Tyson, excuse me. And yeah, it's pretty neat to be involved with that kind of thing, and I mean that happens multiple times every month, fortunately. So in essence, work at CREATE is paid tinkering that helps folks. Pretty rewarding. We do have volunteers that work with us. We have some right now. We have 5 different volunteers that probably collectively give probably 3 days worth of labor each week, 3 to 4 days. So if you are available and in the vicinity, we are at 1595 West, 500 South, essentially Redwood Road and 5th South in Salt Lake. You don't have to have crazy technical skills. Most of the work we do is not, there's no heavy lifting involved. We have hoists and lifts that get chairs up onto workbenches and even lift heavy seats. So if you've got some basic mechanical skills and some time and would enjoy helping people, please give us a call. And we'd love to get more help. We got a lot of work, and it's a good challenge to have. We've got our PR person has set up with Smith's Reward. You notice on there if you have the Smith's Reward, if you're part of that program, if you could go ahead and go online. I believe you go online and direct your portion of whatever those benefits are that can benefit Create directly. So, any questions about Create? Okay, we'll go ahead and turn the time over to Lois.
Hi, I'm Lois Summers. I am the loan coordinator with the Utah Assistive Technology Foundation. The foundation was set up in 1991 under the Utah Assistive Technology Program as a way to provide funding source for disabled Utahns to purchase assistive technology devices and equipment. As has already been mentioned here during our presentation, assistive technology for a lot of items is extremely expensive. It is impossible in some cases for people to be able to afford the devices that they so desperately need. The foundation over the years has been able to help hundreds of Utahns with disabilities to receive the devices that they need. And our goal really is to help to provide independence to disabled individuals by getting them the devices that they need. And we feel like we've been able to help a lot of people with this in various ways. We have several different programs underneath the foundation. One of them is Assistive Technology Loans. We currently partner with Zions Bank to provide low-interest loans for the purchase of assistive technology. So as people identify a device that they might want to purchase, they make application through our foundation by filling out an application packet, returning it to us, and we review it and then forward it on to the Zions Bank Loan Center. The terms of the loan is something that's set by Zions Bank. Typically, 5 years is the maximum on these loans, and for lower dollar items, that might turn into maybe 2 or 3 years. So it just kind of depends on the amount of money that's borrowed. The interest rate is based on whatever prime interest rate happens to be, and currently that is at 3.25%. So as people are making application and are approved, our foundation will pay half of the interest on the loan, and the consumer pays the other half of the interest on the loan. So it's at approximately 1.63% currently. So a good rule of thumb is whatever prime interest rate happens to be, it would be half of whatever that is. The purchase has to be for an assistive technology device or equipment. And there are some that are mentioned on the slide as we go on here. Got to get my glasses on. So anything such as hearing aids, lifts, ramps, wheelchairs, scooters, adapted vans, our braille equipment, CCTVs, anything that could be considered assistive technology is something that could be applied for a loan. and it spreads it out over a period of time and makes it much more affordable for most people to be able to get the devices that they need. If you look at the slide, there's a picture of an individual that they had been lifting their son into a van for a long time. It was causing back problems for the parents. They were able to apply for and successfully get a loan for an adapted van to make it much easier for them to transport their son. The minimum on these loans is $500 and a maximum of $50,000. So it's a good way, still has to be paid back, but it can be done over a period of time, and so it's a lot more affordable. Another program under the Assistive Technology Foundation is a small grant program. Through non-federal funds, we have received money to be able to provide small grants to Utahns with disabilities who are at poverty level or below. The foundation uses 150% of poverty guidelines in order to qualify someone for one of these grants. They are for a maximum of $400, so they don't go a long way, but some people have been able to find a lot of help through this program to be able to receive a grant. So we would urge you to apply. Our website was mentioned earlier. I'm going to go back to that. We can talk to you if you'd like to call our 800 number, 1-800-524-5152. I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have. The executive director of the foundation is Marilyn Hammond, and I work with her on this program. So we would be happy to take a loan application from you, or if you would like to apply for a small grant, you are certainly welcome to apply for that. On the slide, it mentions again all of the qualifiers, things that you can purchase with it. We've had a lot of people that applied for iPads, lifts, ramps, and wheelchairs. As Tom mentioned, through CREATE, we've been able to do some grants through the CREATE program to help provide wheelchairs and scooters for individuals. There's a young gal that was able to get a device that she needs. You can see there on the slide. Just makes their life so much brighter and better, and it provides for a lot of independence for so many people. One other program that is underneath the foundation is the small business loans. If you are interested in applying for a small business loan to start or expand a small business, this would be a great program. The qualifiers are that you are a resident of the state of Utah with a disability, and that you would like to start again or expand a business. The loans are for a maximum of $25,000, and they are at prime interest rate plus 25.25%. So this is a great program. If you are interested, you're welcome to call our 800 number. We'd be glad to answer any questions you might have on this. We partner with the Utah Microenterprise Loan Fund to provide these loans. As you see in the picture on the chart, this is a picture of Gerald Larson. He is a left leg amputee, and he was able to apply for a small business loan and successfully receive that. He purchased an automatic semi-truck that has allowed him to successfully contract with a large company delivering loads regionally. That's just one example of something, if you have a great idea, something that you would like to try, this is a great program for you. Again, our 800 number is listed there. Please give us a call. We'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have. As we've been talking, we have talked a little bit about some of the initiatives that we have here. One of the things that we try to do, Story Powell is our PR marketing person, and she is the one that is responsible for setting up the presentations and the webinars. We have a lot of webinars that are archived. They're on our YouTube channel. We do them typically in the spring and the fall. If you have any ideas of any kind of presentation that you might be interested, if we do not have the staff that have the expertise, we will find somebody here in the state that would be able to present to you. We have our number listed again, 1-800-524-5152, and we would be glad to come out and do demonstrations and presentations on assistive technology for your group. If you're interested, please contact us. If you have any ideas for online webinars, we would be glad to take any suggestions that you might have and try to fulfill that. You can find UATP online. Story has done such a great job of advertising for the Utah Assistive Technology Program and all its various programs. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. All of these things are listed on this slide. Pinterest, would like to ask you to follow the blog at the utahatprogram.blogspot.com. You can check out our AT topic handouts and electronic brochures, and sign up for our email newsletter. You can email Story if you would like to join up on the email newsletter. She's at story.powell@usu.edu. We have time for any questions that you might have. I'm going to bring Tom and Clay back in. Would be happy to answer any questions that you have. If there are any things you don't want to ask during this presentation, but you would like some information, you're welcome to call our 800 number. We'll be glad to connect you with our staff that are involved with the various programs. And let's go ahead and turn the time over for some questions. Okay, Tom, we have a question. Someone would like to know if there is a wait list for the CREATE program.
Not per se a wait list. We do have basically a lag time from the time that we do the assessment and identify the device to the time that it's ready. So, but if someone has a need, contact us. We don't necessarily have to wait for the evaluation. We do need to schedule an appointment. Depending on the device, it could take anywhere from a week to 4 weeks, depending on the complexity of the device. So we don't necessarily have a wait list per se where you have to wait months just to talk to us, but it does take us. I'm the only full-time employee at CREATE, so there's plenty going on, and it can take anywhere from a week to 4 to 5 weeks right now to get a device ready.
The Assistive Technology Lab, the portion that I coordinate I probably mentioned less than half of what I do. It's pretty involved. But in relation to what Tom's talking about, I do a small portion of reutilization as well. I this week have transferred, just this week, Wednesday alone, 3 devices as well. And a lot of times I will pick up and or have people bring in their chair, and I will literally rebuild it out of parts that I have in inventory and return it to them for next to nothing, or whatever they can afford, or if they can't afford it, it can be free of charge. Our goal, as mentioned previously, is to get assistive technology into the hands of those who need it. We don't necessarily worry about costs, so on my end of the deal, so come and talk to us.
We have another question. This could go to both of you. How do you learn about new kinds of assistive technology?
Jump in the pool. Learn to swim. Yeah.
We try to attend conferences on a yearly basis, and there's a lot of training that goes on throughout the state. So we spend a great deal of time in training in order to keep up with it, and it's tough.
And in terms of mobility, I'm in a real prime location in Salt Lake, right next to the Utah Center for Assistive Technology, UCAT. It's kind of a hub for the state there, also for assistive technology. And a lot of the DME vendors with mobility are there, demo a lot there as well. So, and then conferences and everything. So we're able to get some good exposure to a lot of different products.
We do not claim to be experts, but we certainly will do our best to make the repair, and if we can't, we have a lot of great colleagues out there in many circles that can help us.
Okay, we have another question. This could go to both of you again. What kinds of apps are available on the iPads, and how long can they be loaned?
Typically, I have been lending the iPads out on a 30-day, as high as 30 days. I try to keep it at that. I currently have 3 that I have in circulation. Apps that are available. Wow. I wish I had one with me. I mentioned earlier on in our augmentative communication portion, we have Prolo, Quo, we have Tap to Talk, we have, there is we have some sign language apps. Oh man, I really need to have that in front of me, but I have quite a few. And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier too, but along with the iPad, I talked about the computer lab, and I can come in there and do an assessment as well in our computer lab and help get set up with the various programs and apps that are available there. For example, many people do not know that Microsoft has a wonderful built-in accessibility feature called Ease of Access. And if you are not aware of this, please just take a second, just pull up your start menu, type in Ease under search, and all of a sudden you're going to get this access center where you can activate a narrator, a magnifier, you can alter the keyboard, and it actually works really, really well.
Okay, another question. For individuals across the state, do they need to travel to you for evaluations?
It depends. It depends on what the need is and what the severity of it is, I guess. Again, as previously mentioned, I have a lot of colleagues throughout the state that I could get you connected with, and they can either do the assessment and let me know what is needed, or vice versa.
If I could interject on the mobility side of things, I deal with a fair number of occupational therapists and physical therapists that do the assessment and in essence contact me with what's needed.
Same, likewise.
It's ideal to have someone come, in my case, to my shop to see what's available, but it's not always needed.
But if you need something adapted, for example, I wish I had a picture up. This was awesome. It was a lot of fun. But there was a particular woman who purchased a very expensive set of. I can't even think of the brand, but they were really neat. But they would hold her daughter's arms in place in the stroller and allow her to move in a robotic sort of way. But she was having difficulty attaching him to the stroller. And so I had her in my center where it took us about a half a day, but right there on the spot, we built and adapted some different mounting brackets that allowed this to be put in place, which otherwise took this $4,000 purchase that they had made for this piece of assistive technology was nearly useless. And the cost to her was $0 for our services that day. But again, that's an example of probably needing to come and see me. on stuff like that if you can.
Yeah, any other questions?
Okay, just a reminder to you, if you would like to reach anyone at the Utah Assistive Technology Program or any of its programs, you're welcome to contact us at 1-800-524-5152. You can also access more information about our various programs at www.uatpat.org. This has been a small sampling of the services that we offer, and we would be happy to talk with you individually about other services and things that we can provide to you. We appreciate your attendance today at this webinar. A reminder that there is a link on the bottom of the AggieCast page, UATP survey. We would be very happy if you would take the time to answer those few questions. And if you have any ideas for future trainings, please list those in that space. This training will be archived, and after it's closed captioned, and DVDs will be available and at our blog under Archive Trainings. The blog address is utahatprogram.blogspot.com. An email will be sent out with the link to the video when it becomes available. We appreciate again your attendance and hope that this information has been useful for you. Thanks again.